our American Legion Post 53 at previous meetings. And basically, they're a veteran service organization that's nonprofit that has been in continuous operation in Hemet since 1947. They're over 100 years, and the building that they're operating out of has been since 1947, if I'm understanding that correctly. And as a nonprofit veteran organization that served the Valley for over 100 years, the Post is requesting to have a licensed bar within the building so that they'll facilitate them having more fundraising event opportunities and provide them an opportunity to generate more revenue for their operations and veteran services. One of the difficulties that they've encountered is that in the application for their ABC license, which by the way would be a Type 52 license based on ABC criteria, which is for a veterans club for the on sale on the premises of distilled spirits and beer and wine. And it would be exclusively for the veterans members and their guests. So that would be a Type 52 ABC license. ABC requires the city to approve that, and if the city approves it, then ABC approval is pretty much fait accompli. The difficulty that the Post has encountered is that in the applications of the city that they have been required to get a conditional use permit, and with the CUP are pretty steep fees. City attorney had estimated, I think it was in the neighborhood of $5,000 or a little north of that for a conditional use permit in the fees and the process. So essentially what this item is a request to waive the conditional use permit processing fees and simplify the process for what I would describe as a bona fide nationally recognized veteran organization, and direct staff and the city attorney to prepare the necessary documents to enact that option. So the recommendation would still include that they have a conditional use process. And the value to that would be that the CUP would be in place. So I have no qualms about the current leadership and their ability to run a tight ship, but none of us are here forever, and decades down the road there may be a change in leadership and they may have a different mindset. So having a conditional use permit attached to the operation of their licensed bar gives the city the enforcement mechanism to deal with any potential violations. So that's essentially a brief synopsis of what I'm asking the council to consider.
If I could, I want to point out one thing to the city attorney, is that I am a member of the American Legion. I'm just not a member of this particular post. So I want to make sure that that's not a conflict of any sort.
Neither of you have a conflict of interest by being a member of one of those organizations, unless you're a paid executive or employee, and I don't believe that either of you are.
Which I'm not. I actually pay, as opposed to being paid. I do have a question about the CUP process, because there wasn't anything in here about the code that shows that they would be required. So is there language in our municipal code that would require them to get that? Or are we just saying that because of where it's at? Is there anything specific about an organization required to have a CUP? And if not, then it means it's not regulated and there wouldn't be any reason for them to get a CUP.
I'm sure the planning director could give you a citation to the code section But there is a provision in our zoning code specifically related to requiring a conditional use permit for any operation that's going to have any either off-sale or on-sale liquor license. There are 4 exceptions to that, generally for grocery stores and full-service restaurants and things of that nature. There is not an exception to the CUP process for what we're talking about today, veterans organizations. We're going to do on-site sales. The CUP also comes with a set of standard operating conditions that's attached to the CUP. This requires any business that's going to get a alcohol beverage license to come into the city. I think the permit fee is $5,000. There's a $208 or something CEQA filing fee, so it's about $5,200 and some dollars for the total fee. But there is a specific section that would require them to get a CUP and pay for it in this case.
Now, you mentioned the exemption was a restaurant.
And there's one for grocery store, one for a restaurant, and there's 2 others that
Is there a specific definition of what qualifies as a restaurant? Having a kitchen, providing meals?
Yeah, full service, engaged in the full-time provision of food service.
Good evening. Again.
Good evening. So ABC Licensing Board out of Riverside actually defines bona fide eating establishment. So they classify based on the amount of sale of food versus alcohol. So it has to be classified under a bona fide eating establishment in order to qualify for that exemption.
Okay, and then my next question, thank you for that explanation. My next question would be, is there some sort of federal law that would trump anything that we have in place? Unintended. No, I'm just kidding.
Not that I'm aware of on a local business like this. State law would trump it if the posts were located on federal land or as part of a military base that was operated by the federal government. But I believe that the posts that are located in the city don't fall into that category.
Even though it's a bona fide?
Correct. Yeah, because it's not a federal agency in and of itself. It's a federally recognized not-for-profit business.
So are there some federal laws that give them an exemption?
Only if you're located on a federal military base.
How long is a CUP viable for?
Forever.
CUP will run with the land.
Oh, with the land. Oh. Well, you brought up, Russ, about the fact that, we certainly trust our post-53 leadership now. But, what happens down the road? So how does that work then if they don't comply with the...
I'm sure HP could speak on to what happens if an organization isn't complying with their CUP.
So again, the CUP is a conditional use permit.
Right.
It comes with a set of conditions
Right.
that if at any event that they don't comply with them, then we have the option of revoking that license or revoking that conditional use permit.
And I think, Council Member, you're worried about the situation in which we issue a CUP, it never expires, it runs with the land. What
Right.
happens if the post sells the land
Right.
to some other operator? In this case, the CUP would be issued expressly for the operation of a canteen or
Okay.
something of that
Okay.
nature by this particular veterans organization.
Right.
And so if a private operator came in afterwards, unless they were operating a recognized veterans organization, canteen, they would be outside of the bounds of their CUP and we would revoke it.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, basically what is driving this is the fact that examining our municipal code and there didn't seem to be any specific reference granting any exemption option for a nonprofit veterans organization.
Okay.
Linda, did you have a comment?
I did. Since we would issue a CUP. Where in our guidelines would we be more restrictive than what ABC does when they license an establishment? Or is it about the same?
ABC license basically goes based on census tract boundaries.
Right.
To see if the area is over-concentrated, which the majority of the city is, and they determine if they can have additional license without being over-concentrated. And they would go through a lottery process for individuals that would like to get an ABC license. The city, with the conditional use permit process, is a discretionary process. And again, you would tie all the conditions to that. So if there are any events that they don't follow the condition of approval, then you have the option of revoking that license and taking the conditional use permit away from that particular operator.
Then okay, let me ask this. If the city does not issue a CUP, and they go directly to ABC, and ABC determines that it is over-concentrated, and they don't issue a license to them. So that's it. So basically, we are in the position that a CUP is more beneficial because it will ensure that they get an ABC license. So we don't have a choice unless they want to run the risk of not getting one.
I think it ensures that there are rules that
A
are
lot of
followed.
rules in place,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
In
it's
addition to that, of running the establishment. The next question is, because waiving a fee for, in this instance, doesn't bother me a bit. What's the process time-wise for getting a CUP issued to them if we waive the fees?
The process will be the same whether it's paid or not paid. The process will run, it would go through the process for a planning commission hearing. We would have to notice it. So it would roughly take, once we deem the application complete, maybe 3 months, 3.5 months or so.
Any way we could speed that up? I know noticing takes, that there's, rules and regs we all have to live by. More mandates.
We can do our best.
Your best.
More mandates, right? You have to notice this, you have to do this, you have
Currently,
to do
we have
this.
a planning tech and myself.
So, go ahead.
You had mentioned that the concentration of licenses in an area, but isn't this an organization that would be exempt from that, and they would be granted, if it wasn't for the city, they would be granted the license no matter what the concentration is in that
No,
census
not
tract?
necessarily.
Because of the type of license that it is?
The over-concentration is either on sale or off-sale, meaning
So it's a 20 or
consumption
21.
on-site or consumption off-site. But the over-concentration is just based on that. It doesn't deviate from whether your organization is nonprofit, government, or military, or regular bar and restaurant.
But it's based on license type, correct?
Correct.
So this license type is not,
It's based on and off-site type,
On and off-site.
not type 20, 21, or 40, 41. So it's either it's an on-site consumption or off-site consumption.
Yeah, it's not like it's just beer and wine or it's a hard liquor.
but even if there's an over-concentration in an area, if a restaurant pops up and they request one, they're going to get it, correct?
Not necessarily. We don't have, or they don't have to go through the conditional use permit process from us if they're classified as bona fide restaurant. But ABC determines whether they will issue that license based on availability.
All right, that's what I was trying to get at. Okay, thanks.
Okay, do we have any requests from the public to speak on this item?
No, Mayor, there are no requests to speak.
Okay. So what we have before you at this point is consideration of waiving the conditional use permit processing fees and simplifying process for bona fide nationally recognized veterans organizations.
So
And
moved. Second.
Before you vote,
Oh,
let me just get a little clarification, unless there's a comment there.
You're right.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to interrupt too because it says waiving the conditional use permitting processing. I can see omitting the fees, but not the process.
Well, it says waiving the fees and simplifying the process.
Okay, we can simplify, but going with the CUP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm going, no,
No,
we got to
no.
help here.
So,
And simplify.
council, what I need to know is whether this is a fee waiver for just this organization at this location, or are you interested in doing a fee waiver for all similar recognized veterans organizations?
How many are there?
According to that motion, it's all nationally recognized.
That's what it said.
Okay, good. That's why I will have a resolution for you at your next,
All recognized,
Nationally recognized.
nationally recognized.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve by Carly and a second by Bonnie. Please vote. That passes unanimously.
Wait for us.
All that talk about spirits, huh?
That's all he was here for. I thought it was the simplest thing in our process.
All right. So that brings us to council and staff reports. Carly?
All right, our Community Action Commission of Riverside County will be February 20th in Riverside at 5:30. We had our first Community Outreach Committee meeting this last week, and it was exciting. We had we had over 40 people there, standing room only. Next time we'll have it in the library. I'll talk to you, Kathy. The next meeting will be March 16th at 3:30, and this group is going to be our committee is going to be a community-driven committee that will do things that are already, it's to just bring everybody to the table. So we had a lot of different organizations at the table sharing what they did. We had some presentations and trying to get communication better. Eventually, as they organize and we form teams according to what they see as projects, I guess, we'll have them. I would say they would write up some sort of a report or plan to bring back to council. That's what I can foresee for this. So as we move forward, I told them that it's not going to be 2 council members doing this, but the community engaging. And so it was good. The next Investment Oversight Committee meeting is Tuesday, February 18th at 1:30. That will be that'll be one of our semi-annual reviews of our policy. We'll bring that back for council recommendations. And Russ, don't kill me. Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority, alternate. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm overcommitted. I'm just throwing that out there. Number 4. I'll do the 5 one, but yeah, I'm sorry. Very sorry. Yeah, he rarely misses, so they probably don't even need an alternate. But I need to be officially removed, so I'm so sorry.
Which one?
I was very ambitious when I accepted that.
First, that's tough for me too.
I could actually do that alternate because I'm there right before that.
Well, that's it. You got a meeting right after.
I mean, right after that. Yeah.
Bonnie does. She should do that.
I'm usually there by.
See, you should have been missing this meeting. We could have done this.
Yeah, I'm there.
Right.
I'm there at 2 o'clock anyway. So.
Bonnie's volunteer?
I rarely miss.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
RCA. Hey, we were just talking. So the species of the month is the little mousetail. It's a rare annual herb native to California, and it grows up to 12 centimeters tall.
Where is it?
It grows down in the vernal pool habitats, and so one of its natural habitats is the Seneca riverbed, and it grows from April to May, blooms in April to May.
Where is it in the picture?
Right there.
Where?
That right there. Do you want me to put it up on the the screen? Yeah. I can't. Yeah, it's a little tiny. What else do I have? League of Cities, that was the last time. Planning Commission, I think that was yours this time.
No, that was yours this time. Mine's the second one. Yours is the first one.
Well, I watched it online the last time.
Nice try.
RTA, I didn't go, and then skate park, we were working on a date for that. And that's all I have. I was in Anaheim last week. I was in Anaheim last week for the California Association of Realtors, and so we talked about a lot of housing stuff and the fact that there's a shortage of housing. You got anything else you want to add to that, Walter? Housing?
So we should build more as a
That we
city.
need to build more? That's all I have.
Okay, Planning Commission is next week for me. Western Riverside Council of Governments. We had a great presentation by Western Municipal Water District with regards to the California water efficiency laws. Most people are really up in arms about the fact that they think they can't go over 55 gallons a day, that they're going to get fined. There's no law against showering and doing laundry on the same day. There are no specific state laws that require individual households to meet the specific targets. Water targets will be set based on the overall water use of the water purveyor, not the individual customer. Starting in 2023, water providers will need to meet the sum of 4 standards: indoor and outdoor, residential use, and water loss within provider systems, and commercial, industrial, and institutional use, which will equal the water provider's unique water target. Individuals will not be responsible for the State Water Resources Control Board fines. Instead, the State Water Board can fine water providers up to $10,000 per day if the agency does not meet the cumulative standard. So there it is, folks. You're not going to be penalized for 55 gallons a day. And that's how things get skewed.
So all of the spouses that were using that as an excuse for why they didn't need to do laundry, or why they could skip a shower, they don't have that excuse anymore. You got to come up with another one.
They also gave an update on the Public Service Fellowship program that WRCOG has, and by the way, they're looking for candidates now for their program this year. As you know, that they have increased the budget for that. And staff presented an update on the Public Service Fellowship program, which places exceptional students from local colleges in a 30-hour per week position working for WRCOG member agencies. So this is a great program. We've had a couple of them. People have really benefited from having these well-educated individuals, and in some cases been hired by the place where they interned. So they wanted to extend the program, but they're going to, in round 5, it's going to be a 50-50 split between WRCOG and the agency in which they're placed. They also implemented updates that include maintaining alternate placements for the fellow placement, and that the agencies that get a fellow 1 year have to wait another year to get, they can only get one every other year, so that these fellows, agencies can't get one over and over again, that it can be spread out a little bit more. So that's really good news, and it's certainly a really great program. Western Community Energy Update, I'll let Russ talk about that, because he's now on that committee full-time, and I'm the alternate. You are going to talk on that, right? Okay. Just checking. Okay, we were also presented with the TUMP program 2018-19 year in review, and appointed a new person to the SCAG policy committee. So that's it. Oh, wait, I have more here. Oh, on the skate park committee, Charles, did you get my email?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be setting up a meeting for next week, Thursday, if that works for you.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll reconvene that committee and get that back on track. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Okey-doke.
Library meeting is next week or the week after. Water Master is on the 24th. League of California Cities, we had an executive committee last night, and some of the issues coming up since SB 50, the housing bill failed for the third time. It doesn't mean that Senator Wiener is backing off on anything. He has 2 placeholder bills in on the docket so that he can make up his mind what he wants to put in them. But also Senator Beal has put forth Senate Bill 795, which deals with getting the redevelopment funding back. Bills to watch that they came up with is the AB 1948, which is a cannabis tax rate bill, and AB 1066, which deals with increases in the unemployment insurance.
AB 1948?
1948 is cannabis, yes, and 1066 unemployment insurance. Keep California Safe, which is the police chief's initiative along with the grocers to make changes, a ballot measure to make changes to Prop 47 and Prop 57 to bring back some teeth into what our law enforcement can do on heinous crimes. We will be getting a sample resolution from the League of Cities within the next month or so we can weigh in on that. And the governor is, his homeless task force is seeking unique, affordable ideas for housing the homeless. So that notice has gone out to all of our city managers and planning directors so that we can... Junior EDUs, ADUs. Don't spend it much. Let's see, what else? RCTC. Carla, you will be happy to hear this. We had a workshop. The majority was on congestion in all of our streets and roads and how we're going to go forward to create less congestion, but also there is a study going on now that is going to Sacramento on changing the 85th percentile on establishing speed limits so that there may, setting a limit that this is a residential street, and no, just because you do 85 miles an hour on it doesn't mean we are mandated to increase that speed limit to that.
That's long overdue.
Yes, and it's also changing from the 5 to 7 year option of reevaluating speeds to a 10-year option. So between the league and RCTC, we're going to keep an eye on that and weigh in on it that 85th percentile has to be changed.
On Park, but right by our house.
Oh, it's fast.
40 on one direction in the city, 45 on the other direction in the county.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Beautiful.
and I went faster than that the other night.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
no, that's a chief. He does.
Traffic cop.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, he did right? You have to see it to do it. And 2 other things.
He'll be watching.
It's so much fun.
Such a scofflaw.
A correction on number 8 on mine. It's the County Waste Management Task Force, not Water Management Task Force. And the Ramona Bowl, Ramona Spring Festival will be downtown on Front Street and part of Harvard and part of Latham on April 4th. Things are going forward and we're working on that. And I promised Coca that I would announce that the Habitat for Humanity annual marathon is at Diamond Valley Lake, March 7th, starting at 8 a.m. Come out and register and do a 5K, 10K, or K? Half? Do they do a full?
Half marathon, full marathon.
Okay, all of the above. Or you can just sit and watch whatever. And that's all I have.
If I did that, they'd have to time me with a calendar.
It's fun.
Okay, so Water Master Board meeting is coming up on February 24th, and Infrastructure Commission is still pending, and nothing new to report on my League Policy Committee. And On the 20th, I'll be going to my first RCHCA. There's so many alphabet soup. I'm going to the first meeting on the 20th, and I guess I'm going to stay after school at my WCE meeting tomorrow and get introduced to this new board that I'm going on to, the RCHCA. Then the WCE meeting is tomorrow. In case you haven't already received it, I got my WCE flyer in the mail a couple of days ago, and I'm a little concerned that people will look at that with all of the political campaign stuff coming in, and this was a very informative document that basically tells people that we're probably going to go live here in Hemet in May. That's the target date. So some of the other participating cities on the board are going live in April, but we're targeted for May. And just a reminder that everybody that's getting service through Edison is going to be automatically switched over to WCE. So it's an opt-out. Western Community Energy. So what Western Community Energy is, for those of you who may not know, it's a consortium of cities that have opted to create this organization and find alternative and environmentally friendly energy sources. The estimate is that you'll see about as a residential customer, about a 2% decrease in your energy cost. It's going to still be billed through Edison. Your bill is still going to be looking pretty much the same, except for the source of the energy. And if you don't like getting the 2% fee reduction savings, you can choose to opt out. So watch for that flyer. It's blue, and they're coming out.
Flyers yet in City Hall? Because they indicated that they were going to provide material.
So they've sent us some links, but we haven't gotten any of the marketing printout materials yet.
They might have some of those as handouts at the meeting tomorrow. I'll ask about that. I had an opportunity to go to several ribbon cuttings that the Chamber was sponsoring. And one of the things, now that we have the staffing, Brenda is really super. And so she's going to be doing certificates of recognition for all of these ribbon cuttings. So she'll have one ready for us. She's on the communication with the Chamber. So when she gets notice of a ribbon cutting, she'll have a certificate ready for whoever wants to go. And so if you think you might want to go, just touch base with Brenda and let her know that you're going to be there. And if somebody hasn't already picked up the certificate, please feel free to do so.
Well, when I retire on April 24th, I'm going to get all these things.
There you go. So we had ribbon cutting at Lowe's on the 5th. So they finally joined the Chamber, and they had the manager there actually had a business card drawing and gave away some portable vacuums to a couple of the winners, and that was very nice. And Cindy Lemke won a 5-piece patio set. And so I think there's already talk about maybe making a little area out in the back of the Chamber office for people to have a little R&R there. So I had a chance to do some really fun stuff too. I went to there's a student club from Western Science Academy that's a robotics club, and they were doing a demonstration at the library. And their demonstration, this team is actually going to be competing on a nationwide competition they have a new challenge every year, and it's nationally across the states, everybody has the same challenge. And so the kids create their robotics to accomplish this challenge. So I asked them to keep us posted on how they do, and win, lose, or draw, I thought it might be really cool to have them do a little brief presentation at a council meeting sometime with their robotics and see what these kids are doing. The other fun thing I had on the last Friday was the Super Kids Bowl that was done at West Valley High School. Great moment to be around these kids who have an assortment of challenges. But talk about warm, loving kids. Boy, when they scored their touchdown and the football players surrounded them and hoisted them up on their shoulders and high fives, I mean, these kids were just beaming with excitement and everything. And I don't think I've ever had quite as many sincere, genuine hugs as I had in one day on that day. So, great event. It's the 15th year that they did it. Next year is going to be at Talkwitz. And I think that's about it for me.
So I have one more. I forgot to mention the community pantry is having their 55th anniversary, February 21st from 12 to 1:30. So.
We're going backwards.
So if anybody's interested in knowing how to write grants, the Grantsmanship Center is putting on a 2-day essential grants training and EMWD is hosting it. And it's an incredible, Grantsmanship Center is known worldwide, and people come from clear across the United States to attend. We already have people signed up from Alaska, New York, and we have currently about 25 signed up. We can take as many as 40. So this is, again, it's the Grantsmanship Center putting on the training. EMWD is just hosting it.
City manager. No, that's ad hoc committee. SR 74.
City manager is setting up a meeting for the ad hoc for as soon as possible.
And CDBG, ad hoc.
We met yesterday and are waiting for the finalized report from staff to bring before the council in first meeting in March.
Okay. Now it's your turn.
We are setting up the ad hoc committee discussion with the business owner that came by a few weeks ago, so we'll be following up on that. And it's a very busy time right now, so I want to give very many thanks to all of our departments, community development, finance, public works, library. Everyone's doing an incredible job. I know PD's always busy, fire too, so I can't thank the teams enough for what it is that they do for our city. So HR included, everybody. I'm sure I missed departments too, but everyone's doing an incredible job right now, so that's all, Mayor.
And I forgot to mention one thing about the library. Kathy, thank you. After that robotics demonstration, Kathy took me upstairs they were setting up for the science fair. I wasn't able to make it to the actual science fair the next day, but I got a preview of some of the creative and innovative things that these kids are doing. We hear so much about kids getting into trouble, and we deal with the negative side of youth, but it's so uplifting to see the positive side and the creative side of our youth.
Sorry, I left out IT. Thank you again, Scott, and the rest of the team for fixing the audio. Thank you.
Okay. Future agenda items. I don't know that we need to add anything.
Well, I got one to add.
You got one to
So we just did a proclamation for renewable energy tonight. So I would like to add that we start looking at putting solar on all city facilities and the feasibility for that.
Okay. Who's the second one? Carlin, okay, please vote.
Long overdue.
No, got it. 5-0. Oh, we got one over here too. Okay. So solar on city-owned facilities, right? Okay. With that, we're at adjournment and before 10 o'clock. We stand adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance.